Greetings to all my fellow Americans who actually love this country. Pray for the Lord to bless this country, because guess what? I mean, we live here. So, like, if you can't pray to bless where we live, you're kind of shooting yourself in your own foot, okay? We live here. You might as well pray blessings on it. But there's these two girls, I guess they're girls, that decided to try to do a little Tik Tok stunt on the 4th of July. And they have changed the words from God bless the USA to F the president and F the USA. When I first saw this video of these two heifers, honestly, the first thing I thought was they look like a couple sister wives that have just left Short Creek, okay? And so this is like the first time ever where they've been allowed to like talk, where they've been allowed to like wade their feet in a baby pool, where they've been allowed to wear a bathing suit. Because what they had to say is the most unbelievable crap I have ever had the displeasure of hearing. So they have their freedom of expression. It's starting to rain. So with that same freedom of expression and freedom of speech, I am going to respond. And I'm going to tell Henrietta and Marietta like how ridiculous they really sound. Women's rights are severely restricted in Iran. In other words, you ain't got any, okay? You're women, you would have no rights. I would have no rights. To the point where women are even forbidden from watching men's sports in stadiums. I seriously doubt that either one of them has ever played a sport, much less watched it. There are serious discrimination issues over marriage. I doubt either one of you are married. Divorce and child custody. Women have been sent to jail for publicly speaking out in favor of equal rights for women. Also, because the Iranian government wants Iran's population to grow, it's moving to ban voluntary medical procedures women can undergo to avoid becoming pregnant. I honestly don't think that either one of you are at risk for that. But you can forget abortion. I think that's one thing they actually got right. That's just the beginning, though. Anyone, this would include you, who openly criticizes the government risks being thrown in jail. You too would be in the brink at this point. The government also discriminates against ethnic communities. Women are forced to wear the hijab, the headscarf, as well as young schoolgirls who are required to wear the head covering to attend elementary school. The indoctrination starts real young, and that's clearly what's happened to the two of you. You've been totally indoctrinated to hate this country. The very reason you have the right to do what you just did. Married women can't leave the country without their husband's permission. I doubt that would affect you too. So that's Iran. Let's look at Saudi Arabia. They don't even let girls in state-funded schools take gym class. Neither of you took gym class either. And if you did, you failed. And that is a strong, strong win. They don't allow women to watch men play football in stadiums either. Free speech. What you just did with your free speech, they ain't got it over there. Iran is one of the world's biggest jailers of journalists, bloggers, and social media activists. I guess that's what you tried to become. You failed. Okay, you'd be in jail. A fake book post or TikTok video could land someone in jail. In Iran, people go to jail for insulting the supreme leader, the president, or other government officials. Another reason you'd be in jail with your little F President Trump. In 2014, police arrested 4 men and 3 women who were dancing to Pharrell Williams' song Happy in a YouTube video. The charges included engaging in illicit relations. Wow. Those issues are especially pronounced for minority women, who often face intersectional discrimination on account of their ethnic and religious identity. Let's talk about an ethnic minority over there. Few Iranians are aware of this part of their history, or even the presence of Afro-Iranians in their country. Iran participated in the Indian Ocean slave trade until 1928. Many Iranians didn't even know that black Iranians have lived in their country for centuries. It is very difficult to find any books or information about this community, and there is no visual documentation of this minority. These people are usually not associated with Iran, and they barely, if ever, get a chance to speak or play a role in the current representation of the Iranian history. Talk about oppression. This secondary status of women is reflected not only in their limited representation in the country's political and judiciary, but also in their own homes. Get ready for this, Henrietta and Marietta. As by law, husbands retain primary control over domestic affairs, and across the country, particularly in their more remote and impoverished areas, many women struggle with normalized patterns of coercion, physical violence, and marital rape. That crime is unrecognized in Iranian law. Those women activists are accompanied by an escalation in official surveillance. What, baby? Get over here. Have enjoyed a high level of official surveillance and intimidation. Feeling intimidated yet? While perpetrators of violence against women, including police, have enjoyed a high level of impunity, demonstrators advocating for an end to the mandatory wearing of the hijab and other issues have faced physical attacks, detention, and prosecution, with some high-profile activists handed lengthy sentences in prison. You too would be in jail for life. Pause it. So let's say you two just got thrown in jail. Let's talk about their judicial system, which remains among the most brutal in the world. Iran executes more people per capita than any other country and carries out more total executions than any other nation but China. I'll talk about China. Tehran continues to target political dissidents and ethnic, religious, and sexual minorities for execution. Individuals can also be arrested and detained indefinitely without charge or on trumped up, you like that word, offenses, subject to degrading treatment, including torture, denied rights such as access to legal counsel and fair and speedy trial, and incarcerated in overcrowded prisons where they are subject to torture, rape, and other atrocities. At 15 years old, listen to this, 15 years old, boys who commit crimes can be put to death. At 9, girls can be put to death. They're the number 1 executors of child offenders, and right now there are 90 child offenders on death row. Methods of the death penalty include being publicly hanged from a construction crane. That's an especially slow and painful method of execution. Stoning, firing squad, beheading, and being thrown from a height. So you can choose. It's your choice. In China, here we go with China. The penalties for women like you is being forced to grind grain, which clearly you eat a lot of, squeezing of the fingers between sticks, beatings with wooden staves, forced suicide, and confinement to a room. China currently executes prisoners, tortures detainers, and reform through hard labor, which I don't think you're familiar with, mainly due to its historical resistance, there goes our trash can, to individual rights. Once again, you ain't got no rights. Over there. I don't know what that truck is doing, but anyway. Then I'm going to talk about North Korea. Jung-hee fled North Korea in 2014, this poor lady. And as a woman who sold clothes at a market, pause. I had to move it inside because the absolute bottom just fell out of the sky. And Gracie's trying to... She got upset when those people and the guys in the truck were parked outside. She got very upset that her mama was out there. So I had to come inside. Anyway, let me pick up where I left off. Jung-hee fled North Korea in 2014, and as a woman who sold clothes at a market, the guards would regularly pass by the market to demand bribes, sometimes in the form of coerced sexual acts or intercourse. And I quote this poor lady, "I was a victim many times. On the days they felt like it, market guards or police officials could ask me to follow them to an empty room outside the market or some other place." It's just thunder, honey. They'd pick. What can we do? They consider us sex toys. We, women, are at the mercy of men. Now, women can't survive without having men with power near them. Henrietta and Marietta, go try that crap over there in North Korea. Okay, so little rocket man takes teenage girls from schools in Pyongyang to be his sex slaves. There was a public murder of 11 musicians accused of creating a, quote, pornographic film. Not even close, but they're killed. Sexual violence is a problem for female soldiers over there, which the two of you clearly would never do anything to serve anything other than your own appetites and self. Okay? The conditions were so brutal that many females stopped menstruating shortly after joining. Imprisoned women say pregnancy is grounds for execution. So in other words, they get arrested, they get thrown in prison, they get raped, and after that, they get pregnant, and then they get stoned. Yeah, keep on, Henrietta and Marietta. Everything we do in North Korea can be considered illegal. So everything can depend on the perception or attitude of who is looking into your life. But since you want to talk about those who are oppressed in this nation, right before you say F this nation, I'm going to tell you about who I think you two left behind. This is who you left behind. I know, baby. Listen, let me just okay, I know, I love you too. I love you too. FLD, no. Good, Gracie, sweetie. Okay. FLDS followers believe, Gracie, you would have no rights in any other. Get down! Oh my gosh. You would have no rights as a female dog. Listen, let me finish. FLDS followers believe Warren Jeffs is their prophet, even though he is in prison, currently serving a life sentence for sexually assaulting 2 girls, one of which was a 12-year-old, who he considered to be one of his 70 wives. These people are supposed to stop every hour during the day, no matter what they're doing, to pray for Warren Jeffs to break out of prison. The only way I'm not out is because you're not faithful enough. Wow. That's a quote from this dude. These poor souls are fasting. They don't eat for 3 days at a time, and they pray, pray, and pray. It's all they do is pray. This dude decides who marries who. And he also tells these women that their job as a wife is to obey her husband and bear children, even when these young teen girls are forced to marry. They are required to wear prairie dresses. Let me tell you, Henrietta and Marietta, what I think your problem is. You strike me, again, as 2 girls, sister wives, just had enough of it, and so you escaped Short Creek or Centennial Park. You left your prairie dresses behind. You probably burned them. So the next thing you're doing is you just, you're making your stand. You're standing with those rights that you have in this country. And so you've found your voice, which is terrible singing voices. You should never sing again. Simon Cowell says that's a no from me. But you probably don't know who that is because you were never allowed to have TV. And that segues right into this. They're never allowed to cut their hair. Well, I'm almost at that point. Check this out. Because they're told they will need it in heaven to wash men's feet as an anointing. Here we go. Most forms of entertainment are banned, including dogs. I told you, Gracie, you'd be banned, especially being a girl. Toys, TV, newspapers, the internet. You would never have TikTok. You wouldn't have the internet. Birthday and Christmas celebrations, festivals, parades, camping, fishing. So you sitting there at your little baby pool with your feet in there, waiting like two beached whales, talking about F the USA, F President Trump, and the other little catchy phrases that you used in your little diatribe song. You definitely couldn't do that back at Short Creek. So the FLDS also teaches that Warren Jeffs is president of the United States. I thought it was F. Trump. And man never landed on the moon because God guided Neil Armstrong away from it. Girls, listen. I think at this point, the two of you need to go back to Short Creek. You need to put your prairie dresses back on. You need to turn in your smartphones. Definitely get off TikTok. You need to go under the subjection of your husband as one of your fellow 25 sister wives. You need to tell him that guess what? Warren Jeffs is not the president. It's Trump. F Trump. See what he says. Just give it a go. Give it a try. You suck. Your song sucks. Your singing voices definitely suck. Your attitude sucks. Your entitlement sucks. And what you think you're standing for is actually flipped on its head to be your downfall. God bless the USA. God bless our president. Because if you can't say God bless the country that you're living in, I mean, what do you want it cursed? Because we're all living here. You might as well pray blessings on it. Go home, Henrietta and Marietta. Go home.